Chapter 4, Old Promise.
I didn't hear or see anything, immersed in the warmth of human touch after so much time. I can't allow this moment to get ruined. I took my time to enjoy it, to fill my heart with tenderness. We stayed in each other's embrace for what seemed to me like a few seconds, but it was probably much longer. Soon, my wariness overtook me. I didn't want people to stare. It was not appropriate to see a member of 12 families hugging a lowborn. It's not like they saw people without power genes as animals, but it was a part of our culture. I slowly opened my eyes and lifted my head when, "Wait," I murmured. Before I realized it, I grabbed the woman who was about to pass us by. She wore skinny jeans and a black blouse, with her hair pulled back and aviator sunglasses on. I wasn't even sure if she was the person I hoped she would be. Everything happened so fast. She looked at me with a perplexed expression, then she turned to Hannah, even more confused. Hannah and I quickly stepped back from each other. Trying to fix this weird situation, Hannah smiled and said, "Hi. Are you Ina's friend?" She lowered her glasses halfway down her nose for a second, quickly lifting them up after her eyes confirmed this unexpected situation. "It is her. She was my old friend a girl my age, someone who was special to me at one point in my life." Both were quite surprised by this encounter, and I couldn't say if it was a positive or negative surprise, especially for She was always hard to read. As she scanned us, uninterested in responding to Hannah, I quickly introduced them. I'm sorry. Lady Hannah, this is I barely managed to get the words out. "Oh, what a lovely name." Hannah gazed at her with delight. Mai was striking, with her tall stature, long black hair, and sharp features. Her sunglasses and silver, minimalistic jewelry added to her unique style and formidable elegance. She turned the heads of the passers-by like it was nothing. As I was frowning at the looks Mai was getting, Hannah's eyes got stuck on the badge on the jacket she carried folded over her arm. Made of some kind of shiny metal, it twinkled under the spring sun. With an obvious change in her tone, Hannah asked, "Is this the NYX family badge?" That badge was a crest belonging to one of the powerful families, the NYX family. It showed a blue metal shield with a crescent moon, and in front of the shield was an owl standing on a branch with big, piercing eyes. The shield represented their protective and watchful nature, and the owl represented a nocturnal lifestyle, wisdom, and their family gene power. Most of their members had a serious and mature presence, and Mai was no different. "I'm sorry for not introducing myself properly. My name is Hannah Vigil, and I'm the oldest daughter of the Tempest Vigil," she said, a subtle bend in her knees bringing her posture down. Mai looked at me like she wanted to say something, but Hannah quickly continued, "Ina works for my family." "I can't believe you two know each other," she said, all hyper. "It was a long time ago," I added before Mai could get her words together. "Hannah Vigil from the main branch." Mai's words sounded as if they didn't require our answer. "The last direct descendants, it's a pleasure." "Oh, no. Hannah waved her hands as she shied away. "The pleasure is mine. Are you the daughter of the Lady Hannah? We should probably hurry. Your mother said she wants us back for dinner," I cut in sharply. I am so stupid. Why did I stop her? Why? I had to get rid of Mai as fast as I could. If she said anything about me, I would be in trouble. "Keep your mouth shut." I tried to hint at it to her in any way I knew, but I couldn't be sure if she would get the memo. "Oh, yes. Dinner." Hannah gave it a thought and said, "Mai, it would be such an honor for my family if you could join us." "Can you?" Mai glanced at her watch, emotionless. "How far is the Vigil estate?" "Not so far. We need 5 minutes by car. Our car is behind this corner, she said, pointing the way and gripping the lower part of her dress with her other hand. Inna is a very good driver, I can assure you, her eyes pleaded. I have 1 hour, not more, Mai accepted, seemingly in a rush. Inna, can you call my mother and tell her we will be having a guest? She looked at me, then across the street. Wait, it's better if I do it. Holding up her long dress, she ran to the nearby public phone to make a call. Most people relied on public phones located on some streets or in post offices, unlike rich families who had phones in their homes. Those simple dial phones, with numbers from 0 to 9, always came with a small phone book with basic numbers for important institutions. The rest you had to know by memory, or simply write it down. My lips stretched into a thin line on my face, while Mai watched me like a shadow as we stood, alone, face to face. I hadn't seen her in years, but her appearance stayed more or less the same. We glared into each other's eyes, not paying attention to the 2 officers acknowledging their superior. What's going on? A shadow asked a serious question. You better not say a word. They don't know where I come from. And I don't want them to know. I turned a new leaf. I crossed my arms and turned my face away with a touch of arrogance. Like a kid who was trying to fool her mother, who already knew everything. Little by little, my eyes kept drifting back in her direction, impatient in the silence that had fallen. She was perfectly still, the only thing moving was her high ponytail in the breeze, and she was likely seeing a similar picture. We were like fire and ice, waiting to see who would break first. She took off her sunglasses, her hand falling to her side. Are you pretending you are from a powerless family? Do you remember our promise? By her look, I could tell she did, so I continued, now is the time to keep it. I know what I'm doing. I found it hard to believe she was there, in front of me, unchanged from how she was. She was certainly a guiding influence I should have followed more, but I was too headstrong, even then. As we noticed Hannah scuttling back, Mai put her glasses on once again, and I hid myself behind my false identity. Everything is prepared, Hannah said, her feet dancing in place and her cheeks bouncing. Mai, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Keeping my dissatisfaction to myself, I pulled the car keys from my pocket, and they spun a few times around my index finger until, with my soundless exhale, they were clenched in my fist. Mai followed us to the car and sat next to Hannah in the back seat. I kept looking in the rearview mirror while they were chit-chatting during our ride. Hannah must have hoped that having a friend from the high class would make her parents more satisfied. All of that would be great if it weren't Mai. For a moment, I forgot I left that world behind and pulled a piece of it back into my life. Just great. The NYX family was the second in power, much stronger than the Vigil family was then. They were the prime owners of all police forces, among other things. They have the gene that makes them able to see in the dark 80% better than normal humans, essentially giving them night vision. They were highly respected for generations, even lowborns liked them for their fairness. Anyways, I parked the car in front of the Vigil house, and Tempus and Eris came out to greet their enticing guest. Hannah exited first, then Mai, as I locked the car and checked if they had left anything behind. Keeping my distance, they greeted each other, and I found it cute and annoying at the same time. Eris was now in a different set of clothes, fixed her hair, and overused her makeup once again. Next to her, Tempus, in his usual combination, dark brown leather vest over a crisp white shirt, black tie, jeans, and brown leather shoes. On his left hand, he had a watch inherited from the previous family leader, and he always liked to flash it around. This is Mai, Hannah said, smiling. Eris was ecstatic and didn't hold back, giving her a welcoming hug. Clearly uncomfortable, I glanced at the beige makeup stain on her shoulder. "I hope this is to our mutual satisfaction," said Tempus, standing proudly next to them, but still shorter than "I hope my visit is not a bother." "No, on the contrary," they said almost in unison. As they were going about all the unimportant stuff, I stood behind, thinking about all the negative outcomes my stupid actions might bring. Eris cleared her voice, looking down at me as a sign to follow them. We proceeded to the dining room, where the staff, including me, started to prepare the table. I kept giving my warning glances, reminding her not to mention anything about my past, deliberately clanking the plate and cutlery as I placed them in front of her. They talked about superficial things, and on occasion, the dining room echoed with Eris's laughter, causing all the staff to roll their eyes. Once the table was ready, I had to leave the room. I could just wonder what the topic of their conversation was, and hope I wouldn't spill too much information about me. Hopefully, she didn't change much.
The pleasant conversation continued alongside the clinking of plates, and the delicious smells spread throughout the entire ground floor. On one side of the table sat Hannah's parents, Tempus and Eris, and across from them sat Hannah with her newly made friend, but by no means insignificant, my NYX. Once they finished the first course, a flush of heat went through their bodies, and while the second meal was being served, I used the moment to hang her jacket over the back of her chair. Silence fell over the room at the sight of her back laced with leather straps holding her 2HS stainless steel pistols with black grips tightly in place, each loaded with 16 rounds. The pistols of that model were reserved only for the highest-ranking officers. "Ah, yes, Mai and her family are all members of the police," Hannah explained as Eris's smile faded away. She found guns and fighting unfitting for women, as she did a lot of other things. "Oh, of course, NYX family. I didn't expect that you would always carry 2 guns with you," Tempus commented, keeping his eyes on his plate. "I never saw your father carry one." Mai was a full-time police investigator specializing in intelligence gathering, and she carried her guns casually, as if they were a natural part of her, paying them no mind. She worked tirelessly, often going beyond the scope of her assigned duties, as she did that day, chasing leads in Love Town. She possessed an in-depth knowledge of all police departments, a valuable asset befitting a member of the main branch of the NYX family. "My father is not on active duty anymore. The current situation is turbulent, so of course, we must remain vigilant," Mai said, her knife cutting into the red meat on the beautifully hand-painted plate. "You are right. It seems it would be smart to let our precious daughter learn a skill or two to protect herself," he said as he glanced at Hannah. "No need," Eris shook her head, her fake smile slowly coming back. "With Mai as a friend to protect her, I feel at ease." "We can't put Mai in that position," Tempus said, sending his wife a warning look. "She has her own responsibilities." Clearing his throat, he put down his utensils and added, "Mai, I apologize for my wife. Sometimes she gets carried away. I understand you've just met." "Yes, Father," Hannah answered, lowering a small plate with cherry cake in front of Mai after her approving nod. "Thank you," she responded with a straight face, her hand pulling the plate closer. "So, tell me how you met each other," Eris asked, not bothered much by what her husband said. "She is Ina's friend." Tempus and Eris opened their mouths, almost dropping pieces of cake on the floor. They never thought a lowlife like Ina could know, let alone be friends with someone from the Big 12. "I know. I was also surprised, Hannah added to their silence. Well, Mai began, wanting to clarify but swallowing first, we don't know each other too well. We used to play together when we were young, but we lost contact after that. Eris seemed to have gained her sense of speech. Of course, you are people of different classes. Having placed her fork and knife in the middle of her plate, Mai rose, in one swift motion, grabbing her jacket from the chair and sliding it onto her shoulders. I was honored to be your guest. Thank you for the meal, but I have to continue my duties. With measured nods, she added, Tempus, Madam Eris, Lady Hannah, and took her leave.